Melanie, I'm sorry. We're short on money again this month. Again? What's going on with Cody's company? He doesn't talk much about work. I don't know the details. We're barely making ends meet, and I can't even afford new clothes for the kids. Really? Does Cody even realize he's the breadwinner? But Cody is doing his best. No matter how hard he tries, if he can't support his family. I'm really sorry. I always seem to cause trouble for you, Melanie. Maybe you're just too lenient with Cody. I'm sorry. I'm not mad at you. It's just... Cody's wife Charlotte is a timid person, always repeating, I'm sorry. When she's like this, I can't be too harsh with her. I'm Melanie, turning 63 this year. My husband was a serious workaholic, 5 years older than me. He wasn't the type to help with child rearing or housework. In my time, most husbands were like this, and I accepted it as normal. It's not that I had no complaints, but I quite liked his stubborn and focused nature, so I lived without making a fuss. By the time my husband retired, Cody was already living on his own. I was looking forward to traveling and growing old with my husband. But 10 years ago, he suddenly passed away at work. That was a shock. Cody was already 25, and I wasn't in financial trouble, but I lost my plans for the future. 3 years later, Cody brought home Charlotte, saying he wanted to marry her. She was so passive, always saying yes to everything. I wondered if such a willless person was right for him, but Cody, stubborn like his father, seemed to need someone who would quietly follow along. And above all, she was Cody's choice. I never objected to their marriage, and they moved to their own place. There was talk of living together, but I didn't want to live carefully around my son's wife. So I live alone now, quite freely. I retired from my full-time job when Cody was a child, but I started a part-time job at a local mall shop when he began elementary school. It's been over 20 years, and I'm quite experienced. There are others my age too, and we sometimes enjoy trips together. Then, on Cody's 30th birthday, he announced he wanted to start his own business. We worked for a major company, and if he continued there, a stable life was almost guaranteed. At that time, he had a 1-year-old son, and Charlotte was pregnant with their second child. Starting a business with no certainty was too reckless. I thought Charlotte must be worried too, so I opposed it from the start. Charlotte, what do you think? If you're against it, you need to speak up. I don't really have any, was all the unclear response I got from her. She probably disliked the idea but couldn't oppose Cody. I had to talk to Cody myself. Why do you need to start a business so badly? You have a family with another baby on the way. Isn't it irresponsible? I've thought this through. It's not a half-hearted decision. Charlotte agrees with me. This has nothing to do with you, Mom. What do you mean it has nothing to do with me? I'm your parent. I can't just watch my son be irresponsible as a husband and father. I'll take responsibility for my family. It's not going to bother you. Don't meddle unnecessarily. We can't just leave it at that. Charlotte is too timid to stand up to you and say what she really wants. However, our conversations were at an impasse. Cody quit his job and started his business. Since then, our communication has been almost nil. Thankfully, Charlotte still contacts me sometimes, keeping me updated about my grandchildren. I'm grateful to know about their growth through her. But about 6 months after Cody started his business, Charlotte called me with bad news. Melanie, Cody's business isn't doing well. I told him so much to listen to me. I'll tell Cody to quit his company and return to a regular job. No, you can't. That would break his pride and he might become reckless. He has quite a high ego. And if he finds out I spoke to you about this... But what are you going to do now? Well, that's why I was wondering. Could you possibly help us out a bit? Financially? I couldn't refuse Charlotte's request. She was pregnant and in a vulnerable state. I couldn't ignore their dire situation. Honestly, I was even angry at Cody for putting them in this mess. I wanted to call him right away and complain, but that might create a rift between him and Charlotte if he found out she spoke to me. So I decided to help them secretly. Although I wasn't entirely happy about it, thinking of my dear grandchildren made it bearable. However, this wasn't a one-time thing. After the second child was born, Charlotte called me crying about struggling with baby formula expenses because she couldn't produce enough breast milk. She repeatedly asked Cody to give up his business and find work elsewhere, but he wouldn't listen. It's been nearly 5 years since I've been financially assisting them. I'm still working part-time and have some savings and a pension from my late husband, so helping them hasn't been a huge burden. But Cody is now 35, a grown man with 2 sons. He shouldn't rely on his parents forever. This is also important for my retirement funds. Continuing to help them might jeopardize my own living situation. For the past 5 years, I've barely seen Cody. Only Charlotte and the grandchildren visit for Thanksgiving and Christmas, and they don't stay long. I hesitate to contact them about money again, fearing it might worsen our strained relationship. I spent several days feeling troubled. I was waiting for the moment Charlotte would reach out again, so I could finally confront Cody. As expected, I received the usual call from Charlotte. "Melanie, I'm really sorry to keep asking, but I have no one else to turn to. I can't talk to my parents about this. If I told them we were struggling financially, they would definitely tell me to get a divorce. I think it would be understandable if you took the kids and went back to your parents." "Melanie, but I'm not thinking of leaving him. The kids need their father. And I'm sure his business will get on track. Then I'll be able to repay you." "Don't worry about me. But I don't have a money tree, so I can't help anymore. I'm so sorry for always causing trouble." Charlotte broke down crying on the other end of the phone. My patience was running thin. If Cody decided to cut ties with me over this, so be it. We're practically estranged already, barely seeing each other. I decided to speak my mind and then cut ties. I called Cody with determination. "Cody, can you please stop this nonsense?" "Mom, what's going on? You contact me out of the blue?" "I've reached my limit. I've helped you out with a total of $60,000. This is the last time." "What? Are you kidding? We've been the ones sending you money." "Excuse me? Every month, Charlotte sends you money because you keep begging us. You never even thanked us. Not that we wanted thanks, but still." "What are you talking about? I have no idea about any of this." I was baffled by Cody's words. Was he lying out of pride? No, I know Cody too well. He's like his father, honest to a fault. I couldn't imagine him lying about sending me money, even if he might embellish about his company's success. So what was going on? My mind was in knots. "But Charlotte has been asking me for money every month, saying your company is struggling." "What?" If Cody's words were true, he believed he had been sending me money all this time. And I thought I had been helping Cody. In the middle of all this was Charlotte. Could it be? Was the mild-mannered Charlotte deceiving both Cody and me for money? That seemed impossible. Lost in thought, I fell silent. Cody, perhaps sensing something was amiss, said he would talk to Charlotte and hung up. I was left wondering what happened, but didn't call them back. The next morning, she appeared at my house, looking disheveled. "What happened to you?" "Melanie, I can't do this anymore." She collapsed in tears at my doorstep. Her clothes were torn and she had bruises all over her body. Could Cody have done this? The thought was horrifying, yet I couldn't believe it of him. "Come inside, quickly." Charlotte was initially too upset to speak, but as she calmed down, she began to explain. "I'm sorry. Yesterday when Cody came home, he started yelling, saying you told him you couldn't help anymore. He blamed me for not managing things better. Cody had deceived me, claiming he'd been sending money. But now, with no more help forthcoming, he said Charlotte needed to work. He had drunk himself to sleep yesterday. Today, after dropping the kids at daycare, he exploded in anger and became uncontrollable. She had managed to escape and come here. Seeing Charlotte crying in her deceived state, I was deeply shaken. I couldn't believe, or rather, didn't want to believe that Cody could do this. But if it was true, I couldn't just ignore it. Charlotte continued to cry, her shoulders shaking. As I watched her, I began to regain my composure. This was not the time for me to be confused. Charlotte, what do you want to do? If you say we should go to the police... Police? After all, you can't just stay silent about such terrible treatment. I don't want to go back home. I'll get a divorce. Will you go back to your parents' house? They already have my brother and his wife living there. Could I possibly borrow some money? I promise I'll pay you back once things are settled. Of course, I'll do whatever I can, given what Cody has done. Thank you. What about the children? For now, I can't take them right away. Once I have a stable living situation, I'll come for them. Understood. Charlotte seemed relieved when I nodded. If my son had done this as a parent, it was my duty to take responsibility. Despite our near estrangement, I couldn't just leave them be. I'll go to the bank to withdraw some money. Can you wait here? Yes, I'm so sorry for causing so much trouble. Leaving Charlotte in the house, I stepped outside. Now what? As I pondered what to do first, I took out my mobile phone from my pocket. An hour later, I returned home. Charlotte was still sitting in front of the living room table, just as she had been when I left. I've thought about it and made a decision. A decision? Let's go to the police. First, we'll go to the hospital to get a medical report, then file a report with the police. But if we do that, Cody will be arrested. Do you want him to become a criminal, a man with a record? We have no choice. He's an adult and must be responsible for his actions. Doing wrong means apologizing and making amends. That's common sense. I don't want that. I don't want the father of my children to be a criminal. With that, Charlotte burst into tears again. She really cries a lot. Goodness, your makeup seems to be smudging. Eh? Probably from all the crying. You might want to fix it. Oh, let me help you with that. Ignoring Charlotte's puzzled face, I lifted a bucket from the hallway. Here we go, I involuntarily exclaimed. I muttered as I struggled with the heavy bucket of water and then splashed it all over Charlotte. What are you doing? Charlotte, utterly confused, looked up at me, blinking rapidly. No wonder she was surprised, expecting me to return with money, only to get doused with water. Oops, looks like your bruises are fading. What? That's impossible. Well, modern makeup is durable. It doesn't wash off easily, unlike in my younger days. What are you talking about? Charlotte panicked at my words. Charlotte was flustered, clearly caught in her own lie. Then Cody entered. She must have never dreamed that Cody would appear here. Charlotte looked utterly shocked. Can't believe it's come to this. Why are you here? I got a call from Mom. You called him? Look what Melanie did. This is abuse. Charlotte suddenly raised her voice in a shrill tone. She was like a completely different person from before. Clearly, I had misjudged her. I felt embarrassed at my own naivety. Where did all the money we gave you go? I told you, I don't know. Stop pretending. You can't hide the truth. It was for the kids. What's wrong with using money for them? Charlotte's defiance was astounding. Cody then confronted her with a luxury handbag she tried to snatch back. So, what's this? Cody presented a luxury handbag in front of Charlotte. Her reaction trying to snatch it was telling. Give that back. Why are you taking my things? Seeing her frantically clutching a bag, both Cody and I were taken aback. I was astounded by her greed. Charlotte then realized what she had done. After my call, Cody had investigated her spending. With $60,000 from me and $30,000 from Cody, a total near $100,000. Luxury items surfaced from all around their house. Even Cody, who had no interest in brands, could tell the items were costly. He brought a few of these luxury items here. Surprised, I observed Charlotte's reaction. "Your bruises were well done. I didn't realize at first." "Why? I thought I had fooled you." Before marrying, Mom worked at a major cosmetics maker at a beauty consultant. Now she's at a mall cosmetics counter, very knowledgeable about makeup. Melanie at a cosmetics counter? Not a food counter. Is it so bad for someone over 60 to be in cosmetics? Charlotte seemed even more surprised. We never discussed such details. Her calls always centered on Cody's failing earnings and financial struggles, leaving no room for such conversations. I can distinguish between makeup and natural skin. I was genuinely shocked seeing Charlotte this morning. Sitting across from her, I felt something was off. Years of experience and intuition hinted at something unnatural. I comforted her, closely examining the bruises. They looked fake. Despite their color, there was little swelling, and she didn't flinch when I touched them. I was certain her injuries were fake. Pretending to visit the bank, I contacted Cody. He was unaware Charlotte was at our home. Last night, he tried discussing the money issue, but Charlotte insisted it was my misunderstanding and wouldn't listen. Cody had tried to confront her, but Charlotte avoided the topic and went to bed with the children. He apparently held back from arguing in front of the children. This morning, she left to take the kids to childcare, planning to discuss things later. I almost succeeded," Charlotte spat out. "What do you mean?" Cody asked. She confessed. Marrying Cody for his good earnings at a major corporation was her sole motive. I looked at Cody, who seemed just as shocked. Life with him provided a better lifestyle and desires within reach, leaving her mostly satisfied. When Cody proposed starting a business, she wasn't opposed, thinking being a CEO's wife sounded good. If he failed, she planned to take compensation and alimony and divorce him. After the business started, income dropped, but not to struggling levels. With one child and another on the way, she continued her plan. She feared losing her lavish lifestyle. Charlotte's plan was to claim financial struggles and seek help from me. She didn't know if it would work, but thought it worth a try. Surprisingly, I readily gave her money. Since Cody and I were arguing about his business, we barely communicated, so she felt safe from being discovered. Eventually, Cody's business improved, bringing financial ease. She then suggested to Cody that he should help his struggling mother, claiming I was too proud to ask for help. Influenced by Charlotte's concern, Cody agreed to provide financial aid. It seemed she thought both Cody and I were naive. Imagining our faces contorted with shock isn't hard. It felt like a scene from an animation, feeling my facial muscles twitching. I almost blurted out, "This woman!" Indeed, being deceived by such a woman is infuriating. More troublesome than IRS fraud. Charlotte, confronted by Cody, realized she couldn't hide anymore. Today, after sending the kids off, she jumped into a taxi and came here. In the taxi, she applied makeup to fake injuries and tore her clothes before ringing the bell, planning one last attempt to get money from me and flee. It was clearly an act, and forgiving her now would only make her mock us in her mind. "Divorce! Leave now!" Cody said, shaking with anger as he ushered Charlotte out. She banged on our door wailing, but we ignored her, feeling foolish for entertaining her antics. Cody and I shared a heavy sigh when we finally faced each other inside. Our estrangement and lack of communication had led to this mess. If we had talked properly, we would have realized sooner. Cody then informed Charlotte's parents about her actions and his desire for divorce. They apologized, unaware of everything, and agreed to make Charlotte repay the misused funds and consented to the divorce. Charlotte now lives in a modest apartment near her parents, under their watchful eye, working hard to repay the debt and provide child support. Apparently, she leads a frugal life and has repeatedly contacted Cody seeking reconciliation, which he understandably rejected. Surprisingly, the grandchildren didn't seem too saddened by their mother's absence. Charlotte, always preoccupied with shopping, rarely spent time with them. Mom liked talking to her phone more than us. She'd yell if we tried talking to her, the older grandson said. My grandsons, the older one is 6 and the younger one 4 years old. This made me reflect on their loneliness. Moving forward, I plan to discuss things with Cody instead of outright opposing him. Having not spent much time with my grandsons, I was initially apprehensive, but they affectionately call me Grandma, which comforts me. Now, I'm working on being a more open-hearted grandmother.